Syntech. Welcome to another episode of Meet the Grower. Today, I've got a guest who takes a very unique approach to doing things outside of the grow room, and I'm really looking forward to talking about that. We've got Chef Anna here today. How's it going, brother?
What's going on, man? Can't complain. It's the holiday season. I'm feeling good. How's it going your way?
Oh, it's going fantastic, going fantastic. And
Good.
guys, we do shoot these things a couple weeks in advance. So right now it is
Oh,
right before Christmas, but when you're watching, it's going to be a little bit after. And that being
uh,
said, though, man, it's all good. It's all good. It's given season, right? And,
yeah.
that's something that I think you excel in. And I definitely want to get into talking about that. But before we do anything else, got to give a little love to the sponsors, Mars Hydro, ILGM. Thanks to you guys. Appreciate the love. And if you guys like what I'm doing, link down below. Patreon, you can always help me out on a monthly basis. Chef Anna, thanks.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for stopping by, man. Really appreciate you taking the time to come and chat. And, I want to dig in, talk about growing and stuff, talk about the stuff that you do outside the grow room, and a couple of other things. But
Yeah.
first, I want to find out about you. Why don't you give us a little bit of your backstory, kind of how you got to be where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Appreciate you for having me on. I'm Chef Anna with the Pot. For those that don't know, I've been doing the social media growing, influencing, entertaining thing for about 5 going on 6 years now. I originally started my Instagram social media account to be a grow journal for my first grow. Like I'm not the write it down type of guy, so I was using my Instagram timeline to take pictures of my plants every couple of days so that I could swipe back and
Nice.
look through them. And just over time, it just started kind of picking up some traffic. I looked up, I had like 500 followers one day, and I'm like, why? Like I'm just, I literally, there was no personality to it. It was just plant after plant after plant, no real, content to it. But people were, kind of gravitating to it. So I'm like, okay, I have a marketing and advertising background, in
Okay.
my life outside of Chef Anna. So I'm like, if I can kind of put a little brand to this, get some content going, I might be able to turn it into something. Fast forward 6 years, here we are. It kind of kept picking up speed. We branded it with the Chef Anna brand, and just kind of started sharing it on all the platforms, getting it out there, man. So I appreciate all the love. I appreciate all the followers and the people that support me currently.
Oh, right on, man. You're doing some awesome stuff for the community for sure. But what about growing itself? Now, I know you grow and whatnot. You've got an autoflower series up on your YouTube where you show some awesome plants and whatnot. But
Thank you.
how did you get into growing to begin with?
Yeah, so I was living down in Atlanta, and I've been smoking weed since I was 18. And for anybody that's worked any, regular jobs, I was working at Target, working in the back, moving the boxes. The paycheck isn't that fat. I'm gonna be honest, the paychecks aren't that fat, but when it comes time to get paid, it's time to get some weed too. I realized that I was spending about 50, 60% of my checks on weed, you know what I mean? And it was just getting to a point where, yeah, I like smoking, but like it's got to be a better way. I
Oh
know
yeah.
this grows. I had some friends back in Detroit where I'm from. It kind of went medical in Detroit early in the game. So they had started growing, and I kind of seen people growing, and I'm like, you know what? It's just dirt, seeds. I mean, this plant's growing outside of my house. Like I got to be able to figure this out. So I just grabbed a mop bucket from under the sink, drilled some holes in the bottom of it, put some dirt in there, got some seeds from the internet, and just started growing, man. Like I was just determined to not have to spend money on weed ever again. That was the goal I had in mind. And I would say mission accomplished. I rarely ever spend money on weed. Sometimes I might go out and support a couple of, my favorite brands, but
Yeah.
I pretty much produce all of my own, cannabis. So that's kind of how I got started. And, that's what I maintain.
Oh, I hear you, man. And producing your own smoke is the absolute best way to go. Being in control of the process from start to finish, and just dialing it all in, doing it the way that you want to do it, treating that plant the way it needs to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
What about your growth space? Talk to that. Tell me about your space, your style, and how they've evolved over time.
Yeah, so I grow autoflowering strains exclusively. That's
Yep.
all I've ever grown. It's kind of what I started with. When I was first growing, I had a second bedroom with just a closet in it. And I wanted to, I was living in an apartment complex. So, it was very illegal to be growing down in Georgia at the time. I think it's still illegal to grow down there, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
So I wanted like something small, something stealthy. And I just happened to come across a picture that looked like a little bonsai marijuana plant. And I was like, wow, I've never seen one so small. Like it was
Yeah.
maybe like a foot tall. And clicked on the link, found out about autoflowering strains. And I'm like, that looks like exactly what's going to work for, what I'm trying to do. So I started originally growing in the closet, just got a cheap little light off of Amazon, and my mop bucket, like I said, some dirt from a local store, and just went at it in the closet. As I kept going, I eventually moved over to tents.
Yep.
5x5 tent was my bread and butter for a long time. And then when we finally became homeowners here in Detroit, I cleared out an entire 10x10 space in the basement and built a
Nice.
custom room. So I got my own nice custom grow room now, man. I did nice black wood, waterproof floors. I got my Science LED Spectrum Tune lights, environmental control with the HVAC system to keep it, on point in there. So it's just been awesome to kind of see how it's evolved from just the raw closet all the way up to the tent, and then now to the grow room. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's where I am now, man. I love it.
Awesome, awesome. And yeah, that space that you have, that's banging space, man. Really, really like to look at it. Definitely pulling some fire out of there.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So what about the grow itself? Are you constantly experimenting, trying new things? Do you have a set routine that you like to follow?
I've always been in everything that I've ever done a go with what you know type of person. Once
Yeah.
I kind of get a set schedule or a set routine, I pretty much stick to that. Sometimes things will come where you want to try a different technique or a different product, a different brand in the grow room. So I'll every once in a while try some different things like, transplanting different transplant style pots where you can, you know what I mean? Like, or different things that I think are cool that catch my eye. Like a lot of people, and this one is a controversial one, but the herb dryer. My Herb's Now herb dryer for harvesting your buds and putting them in the dryer so it does it in about 3 to 4 days as opposed to like a 2-week hang dry.
Yep.
I've always been a gadget person too. So if I see gadgets, I gotta try them out. Like I know they get a lot of flack from some of the veteran growers, but I'm all about trying out different things. If they work for you, they work for you. If they don't, you just kind of continue with what you were doing. But for the most part, I kind of stick to a specific regimen or a specific schedule in the grow room, and it's been my tried and true. It's been working out for me.
Nice, nice. Take a couple points to what you said there. Finding this recipe, finding that something works, and just having that repeatability is so nice in the space. It took me a while to. I do living soil growing, and now it's just beds. I just go out there, I re-amend them once when I need to, and I found something that really works for my style.
Mm-hmm.
What about your favorite grow, though? When did it all come together and just deliver that dankest bud, that most beautiful plant? Talk about that.
I would say my favorite grow, aside from my first one, which was not the most dankest and beautiful plant. My first plant was like this big. But as far as when it clicked for me, is when I invested in some new lighting. There's a company called Platinum LED. They make pretty decent LED lights. I invested in a couple of their boards, and that grow was miles beyond anything I had ever grown. And it just kind of clicked for me. Like you can grow, right? Like, and just get started with anything, right? It's better to have something than to have nothing. But when you invest in the quality equipment, you really see the outcome in the final product. And so,
Totally.
that was when I moved back to Detroit. We moved back to Detroit. I had a basement. That's where I had my 5x5 tents, and I had started investing in my lighting, started investing in better fans, that temperature controlled fans and whatnot. And it just clicked for me. Those are probably the grows that really, I would harvest something that I could say, okay, this looks like it belongs on the cover of High Times. You know what I mean? Like they had that look finally. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
I would say that's when it clicked for me. I would be probably about 4 years ago. It really clicked for me.
Nice, nice. And it's such a good feeling when that knowledge really comes together and you start producing products that, not only you're proud of, but you're sharing with your buddies and like, whoa, this is some of the best smoke that I've had, man. It's such a good feeling, especially when you have those veteran smokers who can truly appreciate the product.
Yeah, absolutely. That was always an awesome thing, to come to a circle or a party and start rolling up, and people smoke your blunt or your joint and they're like, what is this? You grew this? It's like they don't even believe you, especially people that have known you for a long time. Like they don't even believe you. And a lot of people don't believe that it can be done. So I don't want to say easily at home, but when I say easy, I mean that I'm not doing anything that you can't do or somebody that's watching can't do. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people don't realize that. They think that it's a lot more to it than it actually is, in my opinion.
I've said many times it is not hard to grow weed. It's hard to grow good weed consistently. I mean, that takes,
Mm-hmm.
that skill set. You got to have that environment, that lighting and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, plant soil and it just grows. But I think a lot of it does tend to revolve around the stigma. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
this has been a persecuted plant for a long, long time. And it's only in the last several years, 10 years, that things have really started coming to the forefront. I mean, with Colorado doing their legalization, people started taking a look at this plant a little bit differently. And that's where that's where I noticed you was in how you're approaching stigma around the plant. And rather than just sort of explaining it, let's go to a video clip now and show people what you're doing.
Hey, excuse me. You got another cigarette, man? I'll trade you an eighth of weed for the rest of your cigarette. I'll trade you an eighth of weed for the rest of them. There you go. Ah. Enjoy that, man. Happy holiday. Oh, you got something under your cart? Is that your weed?
Oh my God.
Damn, smells good.
Damn.
You smoke? It's Thanksgiving. Should it go with the meal and all of that?
What did
Shit.
you put in there?
I was walking.
That's what was under there making all that noise.
You could smell it?
Yeah. No.
Oh, you just heard it?
I heard it.
Oh, okay.
Look at this jar. Which one, son?
Oh, excuse me. You dropped your weed?
That ain't mine.
It's not yours? Let's see.
Swear to God. Is it real weed?
Shit, smell it.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck
What's
you.
with you? Muscle?
No. I stopped smoking, man. I got a drug test and stuff.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, good shit though. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
So as we can see there, Chef Hannah, like you do the coolest thing, man. Getting out in the streets, creeping up behind people. Hey, you found your weed, handing them a jar, that sort of thing. I mean, dude, well, first off, where did you come up with the idea for doing this?
Man, I was I started filming those clips 3 years ago. I've got about almost 4 years worth of that content, kind of stored up now. But it just came out of like I've always appreciated the random interactions that you get with a stranger. I've never been one to where if we're in a long line together and you're behind me, I might turn around and just say something to you, just random, you know what I mean? Just to kind of get, you always get, you never know who you'll meet, you never know the type of encounters you'll have. So I've always, been in line with that kind of thing. And being in the cannabis space, I was looking for a way to kind of push my content and advertise myself, to the masses, because not everybody grows. Not everybody's interested in day 30 of my grow. You know what I mean? Like it's other lanes in the space. Sure. And so I just had the idea out of the whim. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take an ounce of weed into Walmart. I'm gonna just walk up to a stranger and give it to him and just kind of see what happens. You know what I mean? The very first time I did it, it was a group of guys, two guys. I walked up and pulled out the jar, and just their reactions, I knew right there that I was like, okay, I'm gonna always be doing this just because of how excited they were, how happy they were, you know what I mean? And I'm like, damn, like I guess if somebody just walked up to me and gave me an ounce of weed that looked and smelled like some fire, I probably would be, a little blown away too. So the reactions are always awesome, and it's kind of just been history from there, man. I record them every month, and y'all can find them on my YouTube. Search Chef Anna TV on YouTube, and you guys can kind of see this the collection.
Yeah, for sure. And it's so fun to watch the reactions. I mean, you get some people who, I don't know if they look necessarily offended, just more taken aback that, oh, this is weird. This is not something I would expect to happen. But then, of course, you get the people you can tell are smokers and whatnot, and they're so happy that, oh, yeah, this is fantastic. But could you speak to some of your more memorable experiences, maybe some of the highs and some of the lows?
Yeah. One experience that always jumps out to me, I had never had this happen before. It's only happened one time. One of my favorite things to do is to approach older people. So, people in my grandparents' range, just kind of not to judge them on their age, but, you can kind of tell who looks like they would be grandma and grandpa.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, those are my favorite people to walk up to because they grew up during a time where like reefer madness, like cannabis is staunch, you know what I mean? Sure. Like cannabis was really bad and evil and whatnot. So I feel like they missed out on a lot of good times. So I like to approach them. Anyway, I was approaching a nice grandmother in an aisle, and I pulled the weed out, and she was like, oh, that's not mine, but I would love to keep it. I'm like, okay, sweet. So I give it to her, and out of nowhere, this lady comes behind her and she says, oh, that's mine, and takes it from her. And I'm still recording. Like, she caught me off guard, but I'm still recording. And she's like, yeah, that was mine. Thanks for finding it. And she just like walked off. And I'm like, wow, this lady just came and stole something that I gave away. You know what I mean? She doesn't know that. She didn't see the original interaction. That was just crazy to me. Of course, I had enough weed to obviously give the lady a jar. And I kind of got her opinion on that. Like, we talked about it for a minute. I have that's kind of on some deleted scenes. I might post that someday in some sort of project. But it was just cool getting her insight on what had just happened right there. Like, you know, just the audacity of somebody to come and take that out of her hand after I just gave it to her. That's probably the one to me that stands out the most. It was just odd, you know what I mean? But hey, you know, that's what I'm out there doing. I'm out there catching real reactions. These are real candid reactions, and you just never know how people are going to react.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, you know, for some people who may have that misinformed view, have never really been around the plant, to just get a jar and open it up, here, smell it. I mean, it's just a plant.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. Take it, look at it, you know, take it home, do something with it, you know, get high, have fun. You know,
that's the whole point. You know,
fantastic.
even some of I've taken like the full, you know, autoflowers, if you grow them in a smaller pot, they'll kind of stay to a smaller size. I've taken the whole mature autoflowering plant into Walmart. You know, I got some videos where I walk up to people like, smell my plant. And a lot of people are like, is this a weed plant? You know what I mean? And they'll smell it and it's like, damn, it smells good. You know what I mean? Like, it's just awesome. Because a lot of weed smokers have never seen the plant live, is what I realized. I guess I hadn't until I started growing. I had never seen an actual, you know what I'm saying, mature plant ready to go. So those are always interesting as well.
Right on, man. Well, you know, just on behalf of the community, a huge thanks to you for what you're doing to help further just acceptance of the plant, man. It's such a big deal, and I really think I need to try that myself. It looks like fun, man. I mean,
it is, man. And that's another reason why I continue to do it. Is like, it felt so good that first time that I did it, and even still to this day, like the feeling that you get from giving is to me one of the better feelings that you can experience in life, man. Like, it's unmatched. It's
1,000%, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right on. Let's jump back in the grow room now. I want to talk about gear for a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's critical. You got to have lights and fans and humidifiers and all this stuff. But there's always going to be a favorite piece of gear, something that you rely on the most. What's that in your space?
I would say the light. I personally feel like the light is the most important piece of equipment in the space. And I use Science LED is a company that I use. I have a few of their models, but they're Raging Kale lights. They're the Dragon S is the primary light in my grow space and in the house, and they're awesome. They're spectrum tuned. You can control the different light spectrums all on your phone, you know, USB. You can set schedules to rotate them so you can mimic sunrise and sunset in your grow room. If you do that, of course, I grow my lights under 24 hours, so, you know, growing autoflowers, but it's just, I think those are just awesome lights, man. I've always been, again, like a stickler for new technology, and kind of when I saw the way, you know, their lights are and they, you know, they operate, I just gravitated towards them. And I, you know, kind of, you know, like I said, I go with what I know, so I've been using them ever since. Waterproof, you know, so you don't ever have to worry about water damage. You can clean them, take them outside, spray them all the way down. So they're amazing pieces of equipment. If you haven't heard of Science LED, you should give them a look.
And that's not spelled the normal science way, is it? It's with a SCY, isn't it?
Correct. Yep. SCYNCE LED. Yep. So if you're into LED lighting or just new technology in the grow space, check out Science LED.
Awesome. And there's so much technology and so many things being developed in that lighting space. It's wonderful for us as the home growers because we're absolutely benefiting. The thing is with gear, though, sometimes it doesn't always work. Sometimes stuff fails and can actually, you know, botch your grow. Have you ever had a failure that's, you know, been pretty consequential?
Yeah, you know what? The one that would stick out is have you ever seen the bowl trimmers? It's like a dome.
Yep.
It has a bowl and it's got like a crank on top, and
I am familiar.
Yeah. So I got one of those. Like I don't know why. Like the harvest is probably my least favorite part of the grow, like doing all the trimming and whatnot, because it's very, very time consuming. So, you know, I'm looking for gadgets, looking for things that can kind of, you know, shorten that up. And I saw the bowl trimmer. I'm like, oh, that's right up my alley. I ordered the bowl trimmer, used it for the first time, and like, you know, I'm grinding, and when I open it, there's nothing in the tray. I'm like, where did all my buds go? It like ground them all down to like a powder, you know what I
Oh
mean? Like it was,
shit.
yeah. So it wasn't exactly what I was looking for, man. That was a complete fail. So I did like a whole plant in it, and it just kind of ground the whole plant down basically to shake. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like, of course we still used it, rolled, you know, little pre-rolls, little joints and whatnot, but I didn't get the buds that I was looking for using that bowl trimmer. I've seen people use it with success, but I don't know what I did wrong, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I don't like the looks of those things personally. They seem like they'd be a little rough. I've got a tumble trimmer for doing, you know, large quantities. You know, when you're breaking over that sort of half pound mark.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still, it can be, you know, a little bit rougher on the product and whatnot. And just to touch back, you know, the herb dryer that you'd mentioned before, I've not used it myself, but I've got a friend. He goes by Growing RX, swears by the thing, says it's just awesome. So
Yeah, absolutely. I love the herb dryer. That would be one of my favorite gadgets in terms of, you know, in the grow space. Again, it's not a magic device. Like, you still want to try to have the best drying conditions possible. So a good, you know, 60, I guess is the common baseline, 60 degrees, 60% humidity. But like, if you're a home grower, and you know, it's tough for us home growers to kind of mimic those exact environmental, you know, specs that we need. So it's kind of hard to get your house down to 60 degrees in a room for you know, for hang drying. So
well, and
this will
stay
kind of,
married. So
yeah, exactly. Exactly. So it'll kind of help you not ruin your product as much as you would if you just let it hang dry in a 30% humidity room for 2 weeks, and it's all dry and terps are all, you know, fizzled out, and you know what I mean? You could at least kind of skip through some of that time. And I've had excellent results with the herb dryer, especially when I put it in. I have what I call a dry tent. So I
okay.
pull cold air from the outside, and then it kind of keeps the tent at around 60, 62 degrees. Then I run a humidifier to keep the humidity up, and I'll run my herb dryer in there. Fantastic results. 3 to 4 days, you pull it out. Oh, fantastic. Like, it's something that I would say give it a try.
Nice, nice. And I think those things must be popular because, like, as soon as he gets some stock in, it tends to go really quickly. So,
Mm-hmm.
very popular product.
Yeah, shout out to Scott over at My Herbs Now. Check him out.
Yeah, for sure. Scott, give me a shout, man. We should talk. What do you think most experienced growers tend to underestimate?
Hmm, experienced growers. Cause see, I feel like I would still consider myself in the new spectrum. I feel like let me ask you that, not to flip it back on you.
No,
How
no.
many years do you think you need to grow to qualify to be an experienced grower? Like, what would you say?
Oh man, I mean that's a tough question too. Like we got a few folks in my Discord that are younger guys, but the wealth of knowledge because they dedicate so much time and focus into the craft. It's I think it's not so much a time scale as it's a dedication thing. Uh,
I agree with that.
yeah, you know, so it's really just a matter of how much you're willing to give back to the plant.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, it's so much of a wealth of information out here on social media platforms, YouTube, IG, wherever you look. You know, in terms of learning new techniques and learning how to grow. So I do agree with that. As far as what I think people underestimate, you know what? I would say the passion that it kind of takes. You know, like
Ooh, good call.
you know what I mean? Like, you can have all the equipment, you can have the best genetics, you can have the best environment. If you're not feeling it, if you don't have a passion to pull the best out of the plants, you're just not going to get the best out of the grow. You know what I mean? Like, you got to really be in there, spend a few hours a day in your grow. You know what I mean? Like, you got to really. I talk to my plants, I name my plants. You
Oh
know what I mean?
yeah, for
Like,
sure.
yeah, like, I really feel like I still have that passion, you know, and it kind of shows in my final product. You know, a lot of people think that you can kind of just get it up and going, and then it's just on a set it and forget it autopilot, and you might be able to do that, especially in like a commercial space. You know what I mean? But I really think that I would say the passion is what people underestimate the most. The passion required to really pull the best out of the product,
Yeah,
out of
for
the plant, I
sure.
should say.
And I can't agree with that more, man. It's such a well put together statement, in that the best product I see comes from the guys who love the plant, love the grow, love what they're doing, love to help others learn how to grow. It's all
Mm-hmm.
about just pouring that well, passion in there. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do you feel your biggest struggle as a grower is?
maintaining that passion, you know, like you know what I mean? Because like I said, you have all
Guitar.
the, once you have the equipment, you have it. That's not gonna go anywhere. Once you have the knowledge, you have it. It's like riding a bike. You got to maintain that passion, that consistency to want to go spend 3 hours down in this room. You know what I mean? To want to pull the best out of the plant. So and you know what? And let me add another one. I would say I like to plant a bunch of like ever since my first grow, I like to plant a bunch of different strains in the same run. And you know, some strains react differently to different settings, to different light settings, to different environmental settings.
100%, 100%.
So it can get tricky trying to dial in what's going on. You know what I mean? Like one plant might be looking fantastic. This one might be looking a little, you know, struggly, but then now this week, that one, you know what I mean? Like that would be a struggle of mine. I try to now grow in smaller groups in terms of the strain amount. So maybe two strains, but you know, 6 and 6 or 10 and 10, you know what I'm saying? Instead of 12 different strains and 12 different plants, you know what I mean? Like I guess self-control would be the answer to that. Self-control in my strain selection in the grow room. You know, I would get too excited and just get a bunch of new genetics and plant one of each one, and you know what I mean, like just kind of trying to dial that into getting, you know, more consistent grows by, you know, doing less strains per run.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And you know, the problem is, there's so much fire out there now. There's so many guys doing breeding, sticking all sorts of stuff together. Give a couple shout outs. Who do you like for genetics?
Chef Anna White Label. Check us out and chefannawhitelabel.com. I do my own autoflower breeding.
Oh, nice.
I like Mephisto. I like some fast bud stuff. I like sweet seeds. It's quite a few. There's quite a few good, awesome autoflower breeders out there in the industry. So those are some of my favorites.
Okay. So have you thought about doing photos, mixing it up a little bit, changing up that space?
People ask me that all the time, Chef. Why don't you grow a photo? I guess my thing is like, why do it? You know what I mean? Like I'm pretty much getting the results that I need or that I want out of growing the autos in a good rotation. And a photo period plant would throw off my room because I grow my light. I leave my lights on 24 hours. So you know, when it's time to flip it to 12-12, you know, I would have to now dedicate a flowering and a veg space separately. Whereas now I kind of do all of that within the same spaces. So it might be something that I do, you know, I'm not against it or anything like that. I think probably on the come up, you know, when I was 18, 19, 20, everything we were smoking is photos, you know. You know, it's all in the product and you know how it comes out. But as far as my personal preference in growing, I just took a liking to the autos, man, and I just, you know, been rocking them ever since.
Oh, for sure. And they are fun. Like I've grown several autos. I got my my boy Wildwood there up north of me and whatnot, and I think we'll have to hook you up with some Wildwood stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know, it's so interesting to see how the plants can express themselves, and you get such a return in just a few months' time. I think it's just the downside is you find one of those real bangers, and I mean that's it. You might be able to grow another bean of that variety, but it may not be the same, well, terpene profile, that sort of thing. But
yeah, 100%. I don't like. I kind of think that's one of the good things about it. Like, I feel like you know, a lot of things, you just have it too much in abundance. So after a while, like it's not as exciting anymore because everybody has it or it's just so much of it. But it is special when you can come around to a party and your friends remember that time that you brought that specific, but you know what I mean? Like you had to be there. You weren't there. You didn't get it. You know what I mean? Like it kind of gives you that you had to be there vibe. So, you know, again, it's, you know, it's pros and cons to all of it. So.
Oh, totally. And that's one of my absolute favorite things about this plant is there's so many different ways to grow it, so many different varieties. You got autos, you got photos. It's so easy to find something that works for you. But that can make it tough for the new grower. So if you had a new grower come up to you and say, Chef Anna, like what piece of advice would you give me to start with? What would that be?
Get started, you know what I mean? Like don't overthink it. Like I didn't overthink it. I just got started, grabbed a mop bucket, used what I had. I didn't wait on anything, you know what I mean? And then trial and error teach you what you need. It'll teach in terms of what's going to work out best for you. Get into some grow groups, whether it be Facebook groups. It's a lot of good growers on Twitch, YouTube, you know what I mean? Start soaking up some knowledge, trading information with people, and stay consistent with it. And in no time you'll be growing your own. You know what I mean? You'll be growing your own weed, and then it's just about investing in yourself, investing in your product to take it to the next level. But definitely my number one piece of advice would be just to get started. Like it's so much information out here. It's so much access to the equipment that you need to get started. So don't let anything hold you back. Just go ahead and you can do it. Go ahead and do it.
Wonderful advice. Wonderful advice. Chef Anna, it's been just fantastic talking with you today. And if folks want to find out more about you, find you online, where do they do that?
Yeah, chefannawhitelabel.com is our website. That's ours, so you can subscribe to our email list and get up to date with new strain drops, new content that I drop. If you're on Instagram, Chef Anna TV, pretty much any major platform. If you search Chef Anna, you'll kind of come across some of my content. So IG, YouTube, Twitch, all of that. Just search Chef Anna and you'll find me. But chefannawhitelabel.com is the website, and you can definitely find me there.
There you go. And guys, go check him out because it's just all this great content that he has. It's really enjoyable to watch. Last question of the day. This is one I like to ask everybody.
Okay.
What's the next big thing for cannabis?
The next big thing. You know what? On Sunday on 60 Minutes, they ran a report about CBD and autism and how it's helping children and people on the autism spectrum with stress relief, with being more attentive in their activities. And I thought it was an amazing piece. I had looked over at my wife and I'm like, you see, like we're coming into a new age. Like they're talking about giving weed to kids, you know what I mean? In small doses, of course, small doses in edible form. But nonetheless, talking about giving weed to children on the autism spectrum, that's huge. Like, and I think that's just going to open the door for more of the medical properties. I myself smoke for the recreational side of things, but there are so many more benefits with weed or with the cannabis product that I think we're going to see kind of start to hit the forefront and really take the industry to the next level. So if I had to be a gambling man, I would say the next big thing is kind of the CBD and the medical, with the autism spectrum, things like that.
Very interesting.
That's my guess.
I've not seen that myself, so I'm definitely gonna have to go look into it more. And just going back to talking about the stigma one more time, it's the reduction of stigma. It's the getting the plant out in the forefront. It's bringing the science. It's bringing the real technology to the plant to start exploring the true medicinal side of it. Because let's face it, it's been in the shadows for so long. It's been only recently brought to light that we do have so many things that we don't know yet.
Absolutely.
This plant, man, it's amazing.
Absolutely. And I want to add one more branch to that as far as the next big thing. What the next big thing should be is freeing the over 40,000 people that we currently have in the United States prison system that are in prison or jail for non-violent cannabis related crimes. There's over 40,000 of them. You guys can check out the lastprisonerproject.com for more information on that. But I'm a big proponent of we need to get those people out of jail. If I can walk up to a police officer and hand him a full weed plant, there's no reason that like anybody should be in jail for a non-violent cannabis offense.
Yeah, same with if corporations can profit off it, people shouldn't be behind bars.
100%.
Yeah, Chef Anna, dude, it's been wicked chatting with you, man. Really appreciate it.
Man, I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. So guys, go check him out online. Look at the great work that he's doing, and hopefully give him a follow there.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. And I hope I can come back one time, man. It was good. It was a good time, man. We got to do something live for my, so we can do something in front of my followers, man.
Yeah,
do a little live show or something. I think that'd be sweet.
Absolutely. I'm always down for more collab work. And that being 100%. Said, guys, Chef Anna, check him out. Really stoked to have him here today. Guys, be out.